Where we are at the moment, it is about increased centralization of certain monarchical houses, which is going on together with centralization of the development on the planet that is happening only one part of the world, and then appears that actually that entire development has been defined by exploitation of the three-quarters of the world. That is extremely predatory setting, and it is nothing here that starts from defining the realm, recognizing what kind of realm we are talking about, and recognizing how such a realm should be managed, and within the context of protocol human inclusive, within the protocol how within the context how protocol human should be deployed to begin with. We are missing a real, you might call it centralized, it would be rather a real hierarchical approach in terms of how we are going to define matters before we go down the scale and go into specifics. We are missing the definition of the realm. As a result, it is possible to find yourself now in such scenography where it is increasing centralization happening on the planet in format of takeover, and all going on hand with a complete devastation of the value system, because clearly it needed what it needed, so someone accomplished this level of centralization and walk over three-quarters of the planet. That was approach of predator that required predator as a subject, as a main player, that ended to be driven as a lifestyle by predators and lifestyle of predators. In the context of all of the above, we are losing the human. That is how we also find pyramid completely upside down when it comes to the practices and the way how certain nations found themselves deployed on the ground. And now we are trying to justify positions of certain nations versus positions of other nations. In what context? In what context anyone would admit to justification of such random national positions where everything exists in format of piping out something? Therefore, in case of Israel and Palestine, we don't have the correct side. They are both implied in pumping and piping, in piping out something. That something will be principal imperial bloodlines. And all of that has been working, we have to notice, I'm sorry, to empower certain monarchy houses basically on the account of previous monarchy houses. That is where we are right now. Now, where we need to be? Where we need to be is recognizing the monarchy houses deployed across the national spectrum, recognizing actual weight of imperial bloodlines on actual territories, recognizing the actual hierarchy within the given context. Here, in that context, I deploy my work as well. On national matters, declaring monarchy of Earth is not monarchy of Macedonia or monarchy of Serbia, it is monarchy of Earth. My family, for example, would be representing on the territories what they truly are in a given context, deployed here, and to the extent that I am awakening one of the principal counts, that will need to be indicative how during my work matters should have been recalibrating, given the international dimension of the bloodlines. When it is in question the exact person, instead to have territories fighting for jurisdiction, it should have been actually other way around. It should have been declared active office for management on whatever level relevant that would have been. What is wrong is that people continue to think they are entitled to decide or to support one or another side rather than to criticize the approach itself. That is where I'm going to find bigger powers making mistakes. It is not on them to take side on matters that are not directly involving them, but it's certainly going to be about responsibility on the higher positions on the planet, or presumed as higher positions, to assess the entire protocol by which conflicts are happening. Holding large territories as of such jurisdiction as it is, for example, USA and Russia, would refer to responsibility to understand matters in most correct terms, As you're using size of your body to intervene, you cannot be excused of not being properly informed or not properly understanding the matters, as that would not match exactly the size of the territory. It is another question how we are going now to excuse the size of such territories while they continue to walk on the ground under excuse of not being informed enough or not understanding matters enough. To call them therefore wings rather would be more suitable instead of they continuing to believe that as self-defined territories can act upon planetary matters on randomly generated opinions. No one can have an opinion if does not have ground upon which one can generate an opinion. Thinking of missing planetary perspective here. War intervention, not just as a strategical matter, but as a civilizational matter. War intervention with such devastating effects cannot be based on someone's having an opinion. It will need to be based on someone's understanding, that is, defining properly the matters, the protocol, the concept, or just decide not to get involved, certainly not to take a side. There is not a side to be taken in that story. Both sides are in offense, as simple as it sounds. Therefore, anyone that is taking side is accepting responsibility for wrongdoing themselves. Nations, stepping out there by reason of their size and no any other reason, is not a reason that can be justifiable as a legal arbitrage. It is a gang level. It is level of I'm having bigger weapon, I'm going to decide. It is not a level of understanding more or relating more, or knowing what will need to be uh, 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 proceeded on or elaborated on. And why we have United Nations anyway? We should be above national interventions in international conflicts by now, yet it appears that some forces imagine we are moving the planet backwards, so that should now make sense as well. Technically, large territories on the planet can exist only as wings to actual dimension of the planet, and they cannot be understood in any other way, including everything that is happening on the territories in regard to what balance we are going to have, building civilization or building weaponry, building human dimension or building army. We deploy planetary level, and planetary level, when defined by a woman, would be about assisting life and functioning of the protocol life, not functioning in protocol war. I'm reporting today that as a principal problem of the planet. To find USA walking with their military industry as a Frankenstein is not going to be good news for no one. Uh, 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 Even in promise of goodwill, without a textbook, without a properly defined platform, that is Frankenstein protocol. Another paradox is that Americans are taking side of Israel while the entire body is the actual mascot for the American dollar. As mascot for American dollar is completely based on Palestinian identity, not based on Israel identity. So would that means now that they need more Palestinian dead bodies as well? Speaking of the notion of American dollar, green American dollar. Yeah, it is in color of green, it is not in color blue and white, including the identity of American army. So why American army is going to stand out there to defend Israel? That is true American question. Excuse me, but it is American question and Americans will need to answer it. Either Statue of Liberty or the notion of principal national identity and character that reflects in projection of concept of legal institutions, including inclination of taking the international stage, is all mega, but it is also good-hearted. Maybe is naive, but it is fabric what many started to use as a reference to bread. It is time for cultural recapitulation today exactly on such parameters. And also build some kind of psychology on the planet where everyone expects that if something bad is about to happen to Earth, Americans are there to defend us. First of all, why Americans would be providing that much for defense of the planet? While they have problem with their own population being on the streets today, literally homeless to extremely high percentage. Yet we talk about principal population in America being the one defining the American dollar today in category of being biggest drug addicts on the planet. I have said already, on this planet, territories actually consume their symbols. You would expect that they would be on the throne, that they would be the privileged population. No, they're the one being used, applied, and wasted as some kind of ingredients in production of lifestyle itself. Well, that lifestyle is increasingly using some kind of animal instinct as a standard, so we have to ask ourselves today from where that comes. I'm going to conclude again. As I have been written thousands of the pages highlighting on different issues, I somehow want to summarize here asking for office again and for a team of people to assist my work, of course, on what I have asked British monarchy, but I got nothing out of it. We cannot accept anymore this planet to be managed without us declaring on planetary level what kind of realm this is and what kind of protocol of human we deploy or we want, therefore we perceive as being deployed on the planet. That will need to be stated and that will need to be defended, and that is planetary level. That is not something that is just a nation, one single nation should be providing for, and everyone else using that as a cow protocol. America has become the biggest cow on the planet. It is time to stop. When speaking of establishing real principal imperial bloodlines within the entire context of planetary civilization happening on the realm we call Earth, which equally exists as projection of specific life energy, we do not talk about self-initiative ruling. We talk about, in context of planetary management, we talk about planetary hierarchy. In this context, territories exist as planetary territories. The population on territories will need to leave its presence on the territories within the planetary context. I do not have problem with the nationalism and national identity and cultural national identity, but I have problem with people forgetting what that means, including how much it should be about culture, about conduct, behavior, about real respectful handling of the one own presence with dignity and integrity. That is not just to be formed, perceived, or seen in the movies or on in the global news or on the news on daily basis. It should be a matter of real behavior on the planet. I'm talking uncertainly about solving the problems. Without solving the problems, face value means nothing positive or negative. I'm talking about returning to collective value system, not a system of predatory animal level survivors of the territories and playing some kind of jungle protocol on Earth that became also very favorite reality TV shows on the planet. People being thrown in the jungle conditions, expecting to find their way out. How about we set them in the house and expect them to actually behave as being in a house? I think that would be much more challenging, actually. We are to move away. We are moving away from predatory jungle culture of I'm the best animal in the jungle. Nothing here starts from roaring anyway, neither from being best predator on the planet, but certainly best phantom in the opera house, and I do not believe in such approach of managing the planet either. Using letter I here a bit overwhelmingly, but since I'm the author, it become kind of issue to not to use letter I. Wasting my time here, lifetime writing like this, and now not to use letter I, it's a bit asking for too much. Considering the time wasting here, my lifetime wasting here, if I'm not entitled to use letter I, what I would be entitled to? Becoming an heir, invisible? We have to conclude altogether that the planet has failed today to demonstrate anything better than that, so each of you have failed, and each of you are invalid. So stop, please, walking invalids in front of me when I'm passing on the street. If that is certainly what I see in front of me, that is this world as it is. I'm spending here 15 years to put some order on it. I'm not going to get invalid out of it. You are getting invalid out of this. I will need to ask Americans also to stop asking me what I want as they are the Santa Clauses here, when clearly the Santa Claus was on the other side of the equation. Should I ask them actually what they want now, since after my father I have no intention to continue that franchise either. And I'm going to give them answer today as well. Nothing more than that I would give them, of what I would give them, or should I say expect from them rather, to stop going with weapons first so they end up always playing the phantom, to stop thinking of themselves as the best of what they have never managed to become, although I will not agree with that. However, I'm the one today bringing this conversation, and you are hardly complying to be even my secretary because you have identity issues, and that is not going to be good enough answer to me. If I am awakened like this, and I have problem to assemble my administration because they have personal ego issues, then I have a problem. That is what you should be thinking about. You should be thinking about your real role in the context of this planet awakening as it does. There are also out there some independent journalist agencies that are projecting some level of intelligence, are leaving that impression of intelligent cover up, but it is missing the concept of context. Everything exists in some kind of fractionized world, and everyone should start accepting responsibility for continuing to project such image on behalf of the planet, as there are some national countries that are holding some kind of higher evaluation accounts incognito, as that should not be even tested or challenged because the intelligence is there. We are beyond randomly employed intelligence, and also I have been certainly speaking of reason about upper level of intelligence that would bring the credibility as well, and the responsibility and the accountability, and it is still impressive how fast certain words actually withhold that kind of zipped meaning. They can mean a world literally, and people are still not paying attention what difference we are talking about here.